Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Yes, we are at another Muddy Puddles,
Yeah.
and we know that you are battling the same things or similar things we're battling in terms of COVID. Some places have gotten better since the last time we met. Some other places have gotten worse since we saw each other 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yes.
And so we're praying for the very best. Welcome. If you're on already, we see a few people are on.
Yeah.
And as you come on, you can share the live so somebody else might get it. So God bless you.
Yes, welcome, good night. I know some persons are still thinking we're on every week, but we're on every other
Every
week
other week.
to give us some time to recoup and,
Yes.
just keep flowing, keeping the content well. Good night, Rodney. Good night, Anika. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you guys. What haven't seen you in a while. So good, on with us. I hope you're doing well. Tiring days. Good night, Frances. How are you? Tiring days and nights, but we are still here. We are doing well, and I hope you are. Like Nevin said, we still are trying to make sure we stay safe. Good night, Gloria. With all that's going on with COVID, but we know that basically this is something we're going to have to live with, at least for now until they find a cure. So we just want to encourage you to continue to be safe.
And they don't find cures for viruses very
easily. So I still believe in building your defense mechanisms. My husband will tell you, make sure you get your vaccine.
Take your vaccine.
And both work well. So good night, Angela. Good night. I'm seeing
the vaccine will work better though.
Thank you for sharing, Francis. Good night. Good night. Good night. Keisha. Is it Keisha? I'm seeing some of the names are coming up. We're looking at you guys. So tonight, just giving a peek as we do our own sharing. I need to go on Facebook and share.
Yeah.
We will be talking about how do we deal with disapproval in our relationships. That's not the real way we're going to say it, but Nevin's going to give you the full title. Right. Good night, Eva. Sister Eva, good night. Welcome, welcome. It's nice to see you on. And this is for people who are in relationships. We are going to talk to some parents as well, because we know some of you are older persons with adult children. And as young people ourselves, I think we were blessed to have parents who approved of each other. So we didn't have much of that struggle. I would have had it maybe in another relationship, but not very major. It was like a marital kind of thing. Yeah. But it's a serious thing. And we want to help some persons tonight. And we want you to share as usual. Not only share the live, but share with questions, with comments. We're going to bring you in tonight. Yes. All right? So it's nice to see you, and welcome to Muddy Puddles again. And just remember that Muddy Puddles is where we discuss the issues that come up in relationship that does not have to, or that do not have to destroy your relationship, but that can become points of just, wading through it and getting through it.
Yes.
All right? Ready?
I don't know how many people can share openly.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to ask a little later was, did you ever face that, or did you face that in your marriage, and did it improve? Did you have a situation where over time they started to love you,
yes.
Which of course is a possibility.
Yes.
So so people face this. This is real, and we know of many such circumstances where that is the case, and so we're tackling this. Yes. So it's not just an issue of in-laws. We're not just in-laws, but also friends. Your circle, whatever that circle is.
And not just fly-by-night people. We're talking about the significant people in your life, the persons who are in church.
What about the pastor?
Yeah. Like for somebody like me, my pastor has always been a big part of my life. So
you should have said no.
I did, I would have had some extended conversations. And it's always been a situation with me. So you'd always look for that sort of approval from your pastoral head. And of course, your family and, those one or two significant friends. Yeah. Good night, Laverne. Welcome, welcome. Hi, yes. Arlene. So let's start. The truth is most of us have dealt with this. I think at our earlier years, at some point or another, we would have faced some disapproval from our parents for the persons we were dating. Some of them, it was for the persons we married and we got married to, and it's primarily linked to your romantic relationships. Now, we know you're going to have problems or difficulties or challenges with your friendships. Your parents are going to say, I don't like that friend for you, they're not good company. You know, company will bring you, but they won't carry you. Will take you, but they won't bring you, whatever the story goes. But we're talking about those relationships that become significant in your life. Now, it may have started out because you were too young. Maybe the parents feel that you're too inexperienced. Maybe they feel you haven't accomplished enough, and so they're saying this relationship is not the best thing for you.
Maybe the guy or the girl.
It's not up to the caliber. That's a word I used to use a lot. The caliber of man that I want.
Or they may know something about them. That
they may know, right? So we're going to get into all that. But if this continues when you're moving a relationship to a serious place of courtship and ultimately marriage, this disapproval from your family, your significant friends continue. It can be very, very painful. It can lead to a lot of disillusionment, and it can also be difficult to deal with. Here's it. What can often happen in relationships like this is that you feel that you have to choose between two very important people in your life. So let's look at this. Let's say you feel like you have to choose between your parents and this partner, this boy or girl that you love, man or woman that you love. Or you have to choose between your siblings, who you've always had a good relationship with, and this spouse. So the common denominator is this partner, right? So you feel like you have to choose between your ride and live girlfriends and guy friends and this partner.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Mommy said no. I don't approve of this.
So
Mommy that raised you, clean you.
Who knows you more
we raising children now. You don't peep on them when you're small. They don't vomit on you. They do everything for you. They took loans for you to go to school. They did all the sacrifice.
And this is the person you bring to them.
And mommy says no. What do you do?
What do you do? Right?
Or your pastor says no. And I've seen some, not personally. To be honest, I don't even know. I would say no.
If you, we're gonna get to that. But
what do you do? What do you do? Well, I've known of situations where the pastor said no, and I've known of one situation where this relationship did not work out. Didn't even last a year.
Yeah. And so you end up in a situation like that where these people that you treasure in your life before this partner came along, they're saying, we don't like this partner for you. We don't like this relationship. We don't like this marriage. And you feel that you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I want to keep my family. I want to keep my friendships. But I love this person. I want to have a relationship. I want to marry this person. I want to keep my marriage. The question is, what do you do? So Nevin has asked the first question. Your significant persons in your life, parents, friends, have said no. Do you still pursue this relationship? We have another question coming up, but we want to start to hear from you guys, because this is something that's happening a lot. It's not addressed as much as it should be. And what happens is that so many times the people who are stuck in these situations, the person who is in love and feels stuck between these two groups of people, sometimes don't know where to turn.
Right.
They don't know who to talk to, and they end up making decisions off of hot emotions, whether it's disappointment or anger or just frustration. And then it can really turn out negatively for the relationship in the end.
Yes. But nobody's answering. So so if you're not comfortable, we totally understand. Maybe you may be facing it now. You don't want to be so publicly talking about it. But if you have gone through it before, we don't mind if you share.
Yeah. But somebody's saying suppose it depends on their reasons. Good, Laverne, we're gonna come to that,
right? Because
there's always some reasons, hopefully, behind it. And Rodney's saying, I'll ask the person saying no, why no? Excellent. Right. So you're going on the right page.
And by the way, guys, this may not apply to you. You're older, you've been married for years, but you have children.
Yeah.
Or you may have children.
Yes.
And you're going to have to face this question.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yes.
You know?
And Jay's saying, I'd want to know why not. It can't be just no without reasons.
Right.
Right. So sometimes they may see something that we so missed and investigating the reasons is a place to start. Excellent.
Right.
So let's look at this.
Those are good.
Those are very. I'm going to come to those things. Now let's get this out right now. It is unwise and unrealistic for your family, your close friends, your caring spiritual leaders to approve of a partner. Some of you have just said it. To approve of a partner who has genuine red flags. Laverne just kind of pointed to that. If they are seeing things that for someone reason, because you're so deep in love or fall so far down that you can't see, and they're saying, nah, I don't like this, then it's wise for you to hear that. We're going to come to that. But then if your family is seeing, personality issues, or they know of past relationship issues with this person, not only because of a past, but because of a present unchanged state of mind and attitude and behavior, then that
from
could
what
be,
they know.
from what they know, a valid reason for them to say, no, I'm not in support of this. I have known of persons, family members, friends, like close bungo, lie down and sleep for years, friends, we eat from the same plate kind of friends, who did not go to the friend's wedding because they were like, I didn't approve of this man, I didn't approve of this woman, and I was not going to pretend that I liked what was going to happen in this marriage, and so I didn't go. I wasn't going to buy a dress, I wasn't going to spend no money, I wasn't going to give no gift, I didn't go. And you can imagine how it affects the relationship also.
Yeah.
So like I said, this person can feel backed into a corner, right? So
well,
go ahead.
that one of the first thoughts that comes to my mind is it your place to, what's the word? Is it your place to cast judgment on whether or not this relationship can work? Yes, the person maybe had some issues in the past. Maybe they still have them. But is that your place? Is that your place to say?
And I want what Neville is asking, is that your place to cast a judgmental strong opinion?
Should you say, this is what I know, this is what I hear,
or have seen.
This is what I've seen. I have some real issues.
Yes.
But you make the final decision.
All right. So I want to ask some of the older people on here who have adult children. Do you think, because we know of persons like that too, do you think it's your place to say to your child, no, this is an adult child, right? Whether it's 20s or 30s or whatever, you're saying, no, this is not going to happen once I'm around. Is it your place, right?
Is it your place?
So let's look at this. I want to add this to while we wait for some more of the comments to come in, and we're going to come to the comments soon. I also want us to be wise, especially those of us who are in relationships or pursuing relationships, and we can face this. Do not expect your family or your friends to support and embrace somebody for you if you love yourself, who one has an addiction and has no desire to move towards change and sobriety. If they have codependent or dependent issues, like they're not working, they have no ambition, but you're going along your merry. We see this a lot. They have no ambitions and they come almost like, this is a strong word, but forgive me, like leeches. We can't expect our family and friends to support that. We shouldn't, right? But if you know of a reason where it has worked, a time where it has worked, please share with us, because we are here to learn too, right? You don't expect your family to support somebody who's hurting you. Whether they're abusing you physically, well, we know physically that should not be. And we have heard of persons who have said, well, it's just one time, and if you're married, no. You should be a little bit more realistic and wise with that is concerned. Right. And if they have a shady criminal or relationship past, they're known to be chronic cheaters, they have criminal records, and there's no movement towards change. Understand my point? Because everybody can change. Yeah. But if the person has made no movement towards change and adjusting and improving their lives, I think we can understand why your family would be, and your friends would be cautious with this person. And
their counter could be, well, I have been with him. He has been faithful. I have seen the changes.
Yep.
I know. No, let me tell you, love can, well, it's not love. I don't call it love. Those feelings can blind you.
Not only blind and deafen you too, because what happens a lot of times that you can't see the things in the person because you want to see the positive, how we go into relationships. And the other thing is, when people are bringing the information to you, you say to yourself, well, I'm not listening because I know what I'm seeing, and so I will shut that off. So we deliberately shut it off, and sometimes to our detriment. I think I just saw Marcia. We're going to come to the comments now. First set of comments, second set. See, Sister Marcia saying that sometimes people have to learn the hard way. Right? So we're talking about, again, if you're just hopping on, we're talking about disapproving family and friends of your relationship and your marriage. How do you maneuver that situation?
Let's look at the comments. In the end, grown-ups make their own choices. It's your bed. You have to lie down. You have to deal with that.
I always have a pinch of salt with that, but we're going to come to that.
Yes,
Go ahead.
because if things go bad, they might come straight
They're coming
back
right
to
back
you.
home. Go ahead.
Laverne says agreed. Lay everything on the table and let them decide.
Okay.
Marcia says while parents can offer counsel, it's up to the person to make their own decision. Yes, it's unfortunate some people have to learn the hard way. Ultimately, you cannot protect people from themselves.
That's
and
a
Jerry
good point.
says, I have an adult son and we discuss pretty much everything. I would always advise, but it is his decision at the end. Really nice, Jerry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know we like to hear the men talking because we
Of
want
course.
our men to take back the relationship and be good men.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, but that's
yeah,
really good.
that's
And
important.
the relationship, there's a talking relationship there, and what seems to be a close relationship. But that really
man
matters.
and son, and that's
Yes,
important. Yeah.
But I don't think I will fully understand that. I'll tell you just quickly. I remember going. I was taking out a young lady, and I had to pick her up. I opened the door, and I was younger then. And the daddy come by the door, man. And let me tell you, that man put the fear of God in my heart. I almost turned around. I almost didn't want to. There is a certain level of protection that parents have.
And they should.
Over,
Right?
especially
They
their
should.
girls,
Their
but boys
daughters,
too.
yeah.
Over there, and so you kind of understand. And then if you are the one who, especially if you had a hard job at raising them and you were by yourself and so
Yeah.
forth, and next thing you're a good son or you're a good, so they just say,
Yeah.
good daughter,
Good child.
you come now, and blah, blah, blah.
What they bring
and look
to my
at
house.
that can become, and because the person feels I have invested all of this, and I don't think this person is what, my son
The
or
caliber.
daughter
We
deserves.
use this here. I think here they use the word kaba kaba or kaba kaba man you bring here or woman or home. We say there's a term we use as well at home, but I can't remember it right now.
Yeah.
But because my language is so no TNT. But the truth is, it is something that, like we said, is real. It's happening more
Yeah.
often than we think, and we want to help people not have to go through this in a way they don't have to. So let's look at some of the things. Should we look at what happens?
Jerry says we
Go ahead.
are not taking back anything. I don't remember what you may be referring to. We are good men out there. Yeah,
Definitely, Jerry.
definitely.
But tell us what the first line is about, because
Yeah.
I don't think
You're
we
not
remember
sure,
that
yeah.
one there. But we know that.
Oh,
that's
yes,
what we're
good men,
saying.
good men, yeah.
We love it when the men speak up because we want to see more of that, right?
Yeah.
So here are some things that could. Let me go first to why this could happen. I think one of the first things, and we have this in our notes here, one of the first things why parents and friends may disapprove of relationships, that you feel this is it for you. You're vested in this relationship. You love this person. You're already married, or you're saying, this is the person I am going to marry. I see a comment here. It's because there may be valid concerns, and most of you pointed to that already. No. Pointed to that
Okay.
already, where there may be legitimate concerns. You know something, you have information, you have not seen evidence of a change, and you're saying to this person, I am not sure, ultimately it's your decision, but I'm not sure this is for you, or you may just be saying, no, I don't want this person in my family. We like to say that this is my family, I don't want them in my family, because they got to become my daughter-in-law or my son-in-law, and I don't like them. So it could be something from their past, their familial past. It could be attitudes or behaviors. It could be, occupational conduct. It could be so many different things, but they are sometimes legitimate concerns. I think we have to be careful. We be aware of that. There are legitimate concerns. But here's another factor. Sometimes the disapproval could be based on the parents' own fear of their own issues. Have you ever thought about that? Sometimes it's not so much the person and their issues or what they're seeing or not seeing, but it could be the parents' own insecurities coming up. So maybe something about the person may remind them of their relationship that didn't go so well, and they begin to project. So they have their own unresolved issues. I remember when I got married, I think we were getting married like week of the wedding. I've shared this before, and mommy came and gave me a 20 US. I mean, she said, this is all I have. Now, of course, all I have after she done, help pay for half the wedding. And she gave me a 20 US, and she said, not because you're marrying a pastor, everything gonna be perfect. So it's as if she was setting me up for security fund right away. Put aside someone and I starting with a 20 US. Anything happens, you have your money. So she had her own fears. My mother was married to a pastor. Their relationship didn't go well. I've shared before. I've never seen my family as a whole family. I'm the last child, so I was born when everything was broken up already. And I've heard her say it. She thought she was getting a pastor. She was getting the best thing. And lo and behold, that did not work out. So she
realized the pastors are human.
Well, whatever she realized. But what she realized is that I was getting married to a pastor. Of all her children, I go and walk in her footsteps.
So another bad.
And so she now, I think she was getting, because the way she said, she was like, mommy's always calm. But she kind of slide, how they like to slide, to show you how they slide the money in your hand and you kind of close it so nobody see. So I think she was dealing with her own fears and anxiety, like, oh my gosh, Billy going to get married to a pastor and she have to go to somewhere she never been before. Because that's happened to my mommy. She had to leave her place of living, go to a whole new village, nobody there she knew. I went to a whole new country, I left my whole church, and I think that started to help. No, she didn't go much further, but she just said, hold this $20 because that, and she said it. Don't feel not because you're marrying a pastor, everything going to be perfect, And so sometimes the disapproval comes from the parents' own experiences and experiences, right?
And some of the experiences are legitimate experiences,
but they don't necessarily warrant the need for them to interfere in the relationship. It is for the parent to deal with their own issues.
Right. But the way your mommy did it was she didn't impose it.
No, she didn't.
Right. No. So she just drop you a little hint and what have you, which is really good. So Jerry was saying that men are taking back something on it. Oh, you were saying there are good men out there already. They're not taking back anything. They're already good men there.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Right. We agree that, but we also know that, there are men who are not exactly where they should be. And we thank God for the men that are already doing what they should be doing.
Yes.
Marcia said, I think the approach the objector takes is important. We tend to alienate people we want to protect, which can cause them to dig in on a situation. Oh yes, that is true. That's the what the name again? I used to teach English literature in school. Romeo and Juliet.
Syndrome.
By the way, those who you're not dating, but you have young people, you have adults in your home who are not quite yet married yet, and they're going to bring somebody. I'm telling you, you're going to have to face this, And if you have your own insecurities, this might be a good time for you to start to reflect and what have you. But what you're saying there, Marcia, is interesting.
Yeah.
Now, because the families objected to Romeo and Juliet, I think it's the Montagues and the can't remember the other family.
They
pushed them. They
closer together.
And it became radical. Yeah. Here's the thing: that disapproval will cause some trouble, but sometimes the disapproval gives the couple fire. To say
and fuel
fighting through this.
But here's the thing: it causes disapproval somewhere. It may not be in the relationship, but it could be in the family or the friendship.
Right.
And there are people who have left churches because their pastor didn't agree with the people they were marrying. And they say, well, and it's people they looked up to when they left. So somewhere along the line, once there's a disapproval that is not addressed in a healthy way, it will cause dysfunction somewhere. Some other reasons we have here why it could happen. Sometimes the families or the friends, don't forget we're talking about friends too, are jealous. Because they're thinking, oh, they're taking away my child, my friend, and they're taking my place in their life. So, you know, if you are a single parent who was codependent on your child, or you had this emotional incest kind of relationship going on, unfortunately, and this person is getting married and they're saying, well, I'm going to take you away, I'm going to whisk you away to heaven. You're losing a part of yourself. And many times that those jealous feelings can rise up. And then...
And same with friends too. This is your friend, your buddy. Many persons don't make this adjustment well. They used to lime a lot with one friend or two friends. When you get married, they can't lime the same way. The same way. I mean, you can lime if you wish, but you can't. Your whole beautiful wife home, and you still out 1 o'clock every night or 12. That can't work. But some people, I guess, permit it and are okay with it. But that is eventually will start to wear on your
relationship.
So you can't operate the same way you have always operated. Good night.
Khadijah?
It's Keturah?
No.
Khadijah. Peter King. Welcome.
And you know, that point you made, Neville, is so important. I think it's something we should deal with at one point. The influence of friendships. We like to say, well, that's your husband. Your husband comes first. But let me tell you, we talked about this in some episode before. You do not want to destroy your friendships for your marriage. And vice versa, right? But this is not the issue. So the last thing, or the last I put them together, they may say, this is not the person I wanted for my child or my friend. It's like, I've said this to people before. I'm like, that is the kind of man you really pick up, like you couldn't find nobody else. And I'm kind of like that. Like, you know, if it's a friend like that, I'm like, really? And so I've said to friends, nah, don't even try that one. She's not for you. And you know what's right?
Were you wrong anytime?
Not many times, because I'm not very judgmental, but I have this keen thing about picking up, you know, vibes. Okay. And healthy boundaries, that's important. And the last one is, and this is important in the world that we're living now, these people may have real prejudices. You know that, right? Because I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, I you know they bring me a white woman, and I laughed. I say, how you feel about it? They say, well, once they're good. I say, well, good. But this, like, my sister-in-law is white. My nieces and nephews, my neblings are mixed.
But this could be a nationality thing too.
And it could be a race, it could be a national thing or ethnic thing.
You bring a Jamaican. Remember, you don't think all Jamaican. Whatever you have, whatever impression you have on Jamaicans.
About the Guyanese.
Right.
And I've heard it.
People from Dominican Republic, you already have an impression of them. Or you're just a nationalistic person.
Yeah.
And you
want... xenophobic.
Well, it could be xenophobic too. But you want that person there. I never forget Billy, I shared this. Don't even think I've shared this with you. Christy, former girlfriend of one of my uncles. I think his name is Christy. Her daughter, we are on Facebook, but she was too young to know. We were old enough. But at the time, they had spent a day or two by us. And Daddy told us that this lady was coming to live. This is so-and-so girlfriend, and they had a child. So when they came, I don't remember we didn't meet too much white people in our lives, you know, at that young age.
Socioeconomic thing. Go ahead, you can come to that.
And here's this white lady who came there. No, nobody taught us to be prejudiced or anything like that. So we just embraced. We just found her interesting because she
was white.
And of course the daughter was mixed, and we had big contact with her now and again. But that was interesting, and I think the family embraced her from what I know. Now she could have another story, but we're too young
to know the details.
Well, I know it was interesting for us to have interacted like that and so forth. But these cross-cultural situations can be very interesting.
Don't take them lightly.
And don't take them lightly. You know, I was reading about political things too.
That's a big one, knowing the climate. And then somebody, I think Laverne just mentioned the socioeconomic thing. And Laverne, I'm glad you brought it up, because for me, I have always been big on that. I'm kind of like, don't date down. I think Apostle just wrote a book on that. Don't date down. And for me, I can't, don't be running a dream at 35 and I'm just running behind you. Find another one and work on it. Do something.
Ambition.
But you have people who, and I have to be careful how I say this because people say to me, "Oh, you're snobbish." I'm actually not snobbish, but I have to know what is comfortable for me, and you have to know that. But your family may have said, and I've heard of situations of this too, where there's certain people in society and they bring a rap scraps. Oh, that's the word we use home. Rap scraps. Well, I used to use it.
Yeah. I don't like when you do it, though. No, not you. I'm talking about, I don't like when we call people that. Although, no, I'm not talking about a person who is involved in crime and so forth. No, riffraff. We call them the riffraff.
Oh, riffraff,
right. I'm talking about somebody who, they're serving God, some of them. They're working hard. They have a dream, they have a plan, they're ambitious. They may not...
Some of them only dreaming, and they see when they're only dreaming. I mean, what are you going to do for this marriage?
Right, but
if I'm the mother, let me show him so y'all have to pray for me too, because I have 3 little children. I'm telling you, if my daughter bring home a dreamer, like they're not necessarily doing but dreaming, I'm gonna be like, girl,
trust me,
get a
I'm
dreamer
pulling
and a planner.
Billy to the next room and say, honey, this is who Ethan has chosen, or Amara, don't get it. Take your order, dice. Don't get between people like that.
But you see how difficult it is. And that's what I'm saying to you. When your parents come or your friends come and say something, don't just say, oh, you don't like... And I've done it. I've done it with my mother when I was younger. You don't like any of my friends. And she probably didn't like most of my friends anyway. But, she may have had a valid reason, but a lot of my friends were still friends. So there was something she wasn't seeing that for me worked. And I was like, you don't like anybody.
And there are probably things that she saw.
Mommy will say anything.
Your mommy is spiritual, brother. Your mommy don't see all them things.
But I mean, I used to tell her, you don't like any of my friends. So when I met Nevin and I was skeptical, because remember I didn't want no pastor. I didn't have that kind of hopes there. I couldn't deal with them things there. And I was hoping she saw something. She didn't see nothing. All the things she didn't see this one here.
When I visited first, she said, you want something to eat? I said, praise the Lord. Daddy was up anyway.
But we get into something serious here, right? Because there could be real prejudices. Racial, geographic, ethnic, socioeconomic. They are, and age, I love this one. Couples with age differences. This is a big one. Gold diggers, we call them gold diggers. I know I could share this.
Cougars.
Cougars so much, and cougars seem to be a good thing. Well, more socially acceptable thing. But there's always this thing where I had it in my family where one person got married to somebody who was like almost 20 years younger, and it caused let me tell you, up to now they don't talk. Like the whole family mash up over this thing, and she lived with him until he died. And it was also another nationality, and the confusion was why he has to marry this young woman who younger than his child, and she not even from, because he wasn't an Antiguan, and we were talking about home, and she just come to take the house and the money, and I'm like, he needs love, and you're finding for him. So these are real issues.
Yes.
Now,
look, the socioeconomic, there's a show on Lifetime about marrying millions.
Yeah.
And I don't watch much of it, but the little I've seen, you can tell there's skepticism.
Yes.
They're wondering why. I don't trust this person. She just wants your money. She just wants your thing, and what have you. And so it's very interesting. Some families are also at a certain level, and they want somebody who has the education or accomplishment and so forth. But at the end of the day, you have to know what it is that you see in this person, what it is that you have, identified. Because sometimes wanting somebody who has those things, however important they are, education and probably plenty money at one point, that may not be what is needed at the time. And here's the other thing. There have been many persons who weren't accepted by families, but that later were accepted because the person was indeed ambitious, worked at their life. Next thing, they end up and provide for the same person that did not want them. They elevated themselves. They became business owners. They educated themselves. They became politicians, and now they say, this is my in-law.
And I
You see my son? Oh, I love my
and
son.
take out the in-law after a while. But
I love my
it's
son.
very true. I've known a situation like that, a couple, but this particular one so interesting, where when the girl brought the guy home to her mother, she was upset. I think she just stopped talking to her and whatever. And in her mother's final days, actually, even before that, because she left the church and everything, and she finally got over it, and that son-in-law became the son, because she had sons who were not even studying her.
Wow.
And in her final days, guess who was there to care for this mother? The son-in-law that she didn't want. So these things happen, and so again, we're gonna come to what do you do?
Right.
But be aware that there could be legitimate reasons,
Right.
and also illegitimate reasons.
Right. So just be careful. You have to be able to separate what are some legitimate reasons. Let's help them.
So we talked about it, like if they have criminal, they're
involved in crime.
They're known to be chronic.
They're addicts.
They're addicts. They're known to be chronic cheaters.
Yeah.
Like they're known to be abusive.
Yeah.
And they have observed some abusive tendencies.
Yeah.
Now, if your mother or your friend has been in an abusive relationship and they're saying to you, "Girl, boy, I see that making me remember when I was going through something," don't just brush it off. Pay attention to it. Now, we're not saying to change your whole relationship because of that, but take some time.
But you need to pay attention to it.
We're going to come to that.
And so we have put some things in category that we
Yes.
will consider, we really have to listen.
Yeah,
but
concern.
there's some other things.
It seems to have a fake name, like the passport have one name, but that may be a stolen identity. It's in the Caribbean too. I don't be
Yes.
fooled. It is here.
But then there's some
Right.
other things. They're not educated like your daughter or your son. That's not something to break up the whole thing over. That's not something worth losing your relationship with. So here's the thing.
Which relationship? The mommy or the
No, your relationship with your daughter or your
Right,
son.
right,
No, that's not something to break up the relationship with.
But there's some parents who are so hard and fast. They would say, "Well, if you don't leave this boy, don't come back to my house.
Right.
You're no longer my child." We have known of cases like
Right,
that.
and that's not fair. That's not
Right.
fair. If a parent does that, and please, I hope parents won't do that because of an educational thing. No,
Or
if it is something
socioeconomic.
really bad and you make a decision, maybe you're trying to, you
Right.
might be playing. But even then, you just have to be careful. You don't want to lose your relationship. I've done plenty funerals, and without getting personal or anything like that. But there are many people who lose loved ones, mommy, daddy, and so forth. And they're crying because of the loss, but they're crying because they missed out on a relationship. And some of them because they did not agree with the person they were dating.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You're losing a lot
Yeah.
when you do that. And I know you feel serious and adamant that this person here, they're not up to standard. We're not talking about the bad things. There's some bad things that they need to pay
clear-cut red
attention.
flag.
But there's some other things that you just need to be mindful of. Oh, and there's some also theological things too. Some
Yes.
doctrinal things.
yeah.
They were married before.
Somebody said, "Look at your wife's face."
Yes, I know she communicates with her face. I saw it too, but
He's good at
I know-
ignoring me
I
now.
know my wife.
He doesn't pay attention to my behavior
Right.
sometimes. Honestly, because there's some things I think are non-negotiables, and for
Right.
me, education is one of those things.
not for the person, not for the relationship. That's their business.
Yeah, but you see, we're gonna come to that another
Don't
time.
mash up. You gonna mash up a
I'm
whole
gonna mash it
relationship.
up, but we gonna hold out. Just something happened.
My thing is
We have to
where,
get time.
where they are now. Where they are now doesn't have to mean where they're going to be later on.
Yeah.
And for me, if this is because let me tell you, that man without education might be loving your daughter and your son
That's true.
and
but-
treating them like gold.
Yeah, but you
and
need
that wait, no, you know what? Educated man and rich man bang up people picnic. And you feel, oh, that my son-in-law, he have plenty money and what have you.
At least
For me, character is important.
Oh,
so
of course.
If,
That's
so
not a question.
right. So
That's
if
not
the
a
person is a person of character who has ambition, I wouldn't draw a line. They're not educated. You understand?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I'm convincing you.
I'm not. But we're going to come to comments. Let me read some of the things that the disapproval can cause in the relationship, and then we're
Yes.
going to go to what to do, right? Because the time is going down. Oh boy, look
Man,
at that.
say college is not for everyone.
I
It's
know
true, you know.
that.
And let me tell you, some non-college people.
Education is for everybody.
Yes, but there's some
So it has to be formal education.
there's some non-educated people have plenty more money
Yeah.
and plenty more common sense than people who have thinking.
Some person's perspective on foundation
It's very different.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Yes. So let's look at how the disapproval can affect the relationship and the marriage. One of the first things is that it can create a lot of insecurity. We're talking about people who have good relationships with their family, with their friends. This is your girlfriend, this is your guy friend. I mean, you go through everything. You're supposed to be the godparent. You're the best man, the maid of honor. What do you call it? The godparents. It's not just a fly-by-night relationship. And your parents, you genuinely love and respect your parents, and they're saying to you, no, I don't want this relationship. I will not be a part of this relationship for you. And
I'm not
what
coming
it
to the
does,
wedding.
I'm not coming to the wedding. If you pursue that, it creates some insecurities in you. And those insecurities will funnel through into the relationship. And so you have to be very clear. If you decide, I'm seeing all these, I'm hearing, but I'm okay pursuing this relationship, you be prepared to deal with these mental, emotional issues and relational that will come up, right?
Right.
Another
and
thing,
so,
go ahead.
because when you take a stand like that as a parent, you can, I don't care how strong you are. The fact that it comes between you and your child, you're gonna take that. You're carrying something like that. That's heavy.
But sometimes it is heavy, and some of them don't mind. It's like I did anyway. And there's some of the children come. It softens it, but there's sometimes the children get some of the pressure too. Right.
Omar says.
Sorry.
Good night, Omar. I get the point about educational level, but I think it's usually how much a critical thinker a person is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's not college, but education is for everybody, right? Another thing that could happen in the relationship if you pursue, even with the disapproval, especially if it's strong, it could lead to long-standing conflict with the family. And there's some people who altogether cut ties with their family. This one is heartbreaking for me. I am not sure I'm okay with you sacrificing your family of origin for a relationship. There has to be a place where, some compromise can be made, even if it is, we are agreeing that we're not going to ever get along, but I'm not going to lose my family. I remember one thing we were taught growing up is that nobody's supposed to come between you and your sister and your brother, and you're not supposed to get between their wife and their marital relationship. And so there has to be that point where you say, I don't like this. I think you're doing something really stupid or crappy or dangerous. Well, not necessarily dangerous, but unwise. And so, but I still love you, but I don't have to cut ties. Now, there may be a difference in how you interact, and even that is sad. But those are some of the things that could happen. There could be a change in the relationship, and then the family may not want to spend time with you. I've experienced that one, not with mine, but other relationships I've been around, where the spouse was not, the approved spouse, and it's like they don't come around, and you're kind of happy they don't come around, that kind of way. And so these things can happen, and you have to understand what is it that you're going to be sacrificing in the end if you pursue. Another thing is that there could be constant conflict and tension. You see, when they do come around, oh boy, that could be difficult on the interaction in those family gatherings. There's always some argument. There's always some drama somewhere, because somebody's going to remember something and remember how you were. And especially if people have not grown past the emotional, disappointment with this person, it could lead to conflict all the time, right? And then you may feel the need to isolate. Sorry. And of course, they all linked up. You may feel it may become difficult for you to build a healthy relationship. Why? Because you're always second guessing, and if something happens, you say, I wonder if mommy was right. I wonder if my girlfriend was right. These kind of things will come up. And so you may find yourself having difficulty building a strong, healthy relationship because you're always living in the shadow of the disapproval of your family and friends.
Shana said the flip side is the silence. Yeah,
Yes.
the silence is
Yes.
also...
But tell us about the silence, Chanel.
I guess silence in terms of they don't say anything to each other.
Yes.
The
hard,
there's no
they can cut through.
there is no fighting necessarily.
Yes.
There's just silence. I think that's what she may be referring to.
Yeah.
She said the knowing we don't accept you. Yeah.
Yes. Let's go back and see some of the comments, because we're going to wrap up here now with what you do.
I think we covered all of them, yeah.
Okay. I see things say, somebody says respect is paramount.
Yes.
Yes. And it's the core values. So these are things that we have to pay attention to. Now, I think I want us to understand what we're trying to share with you guys is that you may find yourself in a situation like that, either at the receiving end or unfortunately unplanned at the distributing end. You may be the parent who's saying, what kind of, like,
Yes.
you couldn't find
What
a
do I
man to
do?
bring home? What do you do? So we're at the place of what do you do? And the question I want to ask, because we didn't even ask this question, we had it here to ask you guys. Should you tell your spouse, your partner, that the family don't like them?
Yeah.
And if you do,
Answer
when do you
quickly.
tell them? How soon do you tell them in a relationship, like, you know, my mommy don't like you? Like, really don't like you. Like, she don't want us together.
Can you answer?
Do you do that?
Should you tell the partner that the
Yes.
family friend, the mommy, the close
Whoever,
friend,
the grandmother,
they don't like
the
you?
pastor? And when do you tell them? You know, because that could be a significant thing in how the relationship moves forward, right? And you could also, so let's look at what do you do, because
What do you do as we
what do
wrap
you
up?
do? Because we have about 15 minutes here. And we were kind of hinting at this as we were going along, and most of you guys were already suggesting this, which is
Right.
good.
When nobody
right?
answered, oh yes, Master says sometimes we try too much to control people who we love instead of
yeah.
allowing them to grow and make autonomous decisions. You're
Yes.
absolutely correct.
And,
But
go ahead.
I say nobody's answering. When do you tell them?
Yes, and when?
Mommy no like you. Oh, you remember this
don't like
thing we
you.
saw on Facebook with the African family?
Oh yeah,
The
girl who was cooked.
son
Yes.
and the girl, I think mommy wasn't doing so well, or so they came to visit.
Her mother came to visit, and she didn't like the girl.
Right.
And because she couldn't cook on the coal pot,
Yes.
she cooking on gas stove, and gas can give cancer. It's a kind of joke too.
Yes.
And
The mommy said gas
everything the
does give
girl did,
cancer.
she was like, "You dressing so you're not tired," you know, all kind of crazy stuff.
Yes.
And eventually she said, "I want this particular food." She's like, "No, I cooked. So that's the chicken." And I'm like, "No,
Yes,
I want
pasta or
punji."
something, yes.
And she went and bought food from somebody and ended up getting the mother-in-law sick. So, you know, these are, I mean, we laugh, right? But these are things that happen. And they can destroy marriages, and they can destroy the families of origin.
And sometimes they're not as explicit as this lady. They're not as
Yeah.
open.
Yes.
But they give little signals here and there.
And that is,
you know.
and I think that's what Sharon's talking about too. Those little hints and those little silent treatments that can
Comments,
be so the
one-off
passive aggressive behavior that can make you feel so uncomfortable because you're not sure. She even like me. Did I really make a score this time? You know, so we have to be very careful about that. So what we're saying in terms of what do you do? The first thing is to listen. Listen, hear your parent, your friend out. Don't just be, because I've met people who have just said, "I don't want to hear you."
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to hear anything.
You don't even want to hear. I'm not saying to take it, like,
Accept it
one time, but you know what? Take time to listen, because
Let's
like we
listen.
said earlier, there may be red flags that you are missing, and I mean, the person has to have a good heart to say to you, "Sweetheart, I don't know if you're seeing this, but this is what I'm seeing, and it scares me." Or you know, our spiritual parents say, "You know, the Lord showed me something," or "I had a dream." Don't be quick and say, "Mommy, it was a dream. You need to sleep." You know, listen, and listen with the point of understanding, because you want to first know, as the person said earlier, what is it that they really are disgruntled about? What is the issue that they have?
Yes.
So you understand. So when you go and tell the partner, if you go and tell the partner, "You know, mommy don't like you," but why your mommy don't like me? Well, she said. And then you may be surprised a person may be able to say, "Well, that is true," or "That's not true," and I can find a way to help her understand that I'm not like that.
Right.
Yeah?
Well, let me just leave it.
Go ahead, let's go to comments.
Some people said yes. Tell them, be open, so that maybe a conversation can start between them.
Okay.
Chanel, is it because I'm going to break it off or stand up to my parents? Oh, you're talking about talking to your parents or listening to them.
Right. Whether or not, I think you should listen. One, we still want to honor our parents. I think we have moved away from those principles where we think because we're big now, our parents have no significance.
No,
You
listen.
know, they are
because
still important. So
Here's
we
the
listen.
thing. They may know something very serious.
Yeah.
You know. No,
Or they have that hunch.
they could have a hunch. Well, you have to be careful
Yeah.
with hunch, because sometimes it's gas and all kind of thing. And sometimes it's not the Holy Spirit, right?
All right,
Some
sir.
people, no, it's true. Some people, it's not no Holy Spirit. It's just something else.
They just don't like the person.
They just don't like
their
the
spirit
person.
don't take the person. They say,
Yes.
"You know, my spirit don't take them."
Yes,
Yeah, it's true.
yes.
It's a real issue.
So But you know, there are people who hear from God. There's no
Yeah.
doubt, and I don't blame that. I'm just saying as a fact that sometimes it's not any hearing anything, it's something else.
Yeah.
You know. But let's say they hear something. Let's say the Spirit of God showed them something. What
Yes,
if
that's
what if they saw something for themselves? What if somebody who cared about them said something?
Yeah.
You know, just listen. And then maybe after you listen to it, you may be able to verify it. Of course, that puts you in a tough situation because now you have to go and talk to the person you love about this particular thing, you know. But all in all, it becomes a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
But it's
if I have
important to
information as your parent
or your sibling,
or
or
sibling
your friend,
or
your
friend,
good friend.
I think it's it's good to be open. You know.
Yeah.
Of course, if you can't verify it, you know, you just have to be
Use
careful.
wisdom.
Don't go with information Jane tells Sharon and Sharon
like
tells
five-party story.
Right. Just be careful because some people are just jealous, right? And they don't.
And don't
have
discount that point. I was one of this. Jealousy is a real thing, and especially in people in Christianhood, in Christendom, we like to think, oh well, you know, but jealousy is real, and sometimes the jealousy is not even evil. I mean, all jealousy is not good, but it could be just the fear, like we have mentioned, I am losing the person, the friendship.
That's
and
right.
so you and I always lie, but now you bring this mind relationship, and then we can't lie
It will
again.
change. The
relationship will change.
Can't lie, but it will change the thing a little. Omar says we're gonna get to the other things.
Yeah. You have 10 minutes.
Hopefully, we raise our children to be discerning, correct? And we
love
hope
that.
to build a strong, trusting relationship so that they're open to some guidance. At the end of the day, it's their own path to travel.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that sums up how I feel too.
Yeah,
that
it
sums
is.
out how I feel.
But you know what? I think as maybe other women can talk. I believe that. I accept that. But you know what? It's just going to be so gut-wrenching and painful when they choose their own path, which they have to do. And then you have to be like, shut your mouth, like, I was right. Oh my gosh, I was right.
Right, then you should shut your
That's
mouth.
painful.
No.
That's supposed to tell me to shut my mouth.
No, not you. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you.
parent,
I'm talking about the parent.
So,
Yeah,
but it's going to be
don't bother.
painful. It's going to be painful.
Yes, but no bother come.
I told
but
you
don't
so.
tell you so. You know, Antigua or Caribbean
Caribbean
people
people.
might say, "Me tell you so."
I told you so.
Eh?
You
You're
know
gone,
what
wrong,
I
gone.
said? That's not going to help to build a relationship either. Because what it could do is actually isolate the person
Right.
further, drive them further away from you.
Although the person who got the counsel could come back and say, you know, mommy, you were right.
You were right. But very rarely do we do that. But here's one other thing I want to say. You see that issue about I told you so? It's easy to do. I have to now train
Right.
myself to not say it.
Right.
But let me tell you something. What you don't want to do is foster deeper insecurities in them. Because if they have to go and look at another relationship, they're going to always want to know, hear what you're saying, one, not because they value, because they're
And you
afraid.
could be wrong.
And they don't learn to trust their own
Right.
judgment.
And you could be wrong too.
And you could
Mommy
be wrong at some
this time.
point.
Right.
Yeah. So we don't want to isolate or belittle or let them not trust themselves and trust the Spirit of God in their own life.
Right.
But we want to be able to say, listen to wise counsel,
Right.
and then make a decision, as
So-
you guys are saying.
So we
to
said
us,
there,
yeah.
listen. So that's the first thing. What do you do if you have a significant friend or spouse? If you just tuned in,
Parent.
a significant friend or spouse.
child.
Sorry, not spouse.
Child.
Parent.
Yes.
Oh, it could be even a child.
Or
We
child.
dealt with
old-
blended families.
Yes, yes.
Oh boy, we didn't even think. I didn't even remember that. The children may not embrace
The partner.
the person you have brought into their life,
Yes.
right? What we say is the first thing, if you're dealing with that, listen to that child. It may not be an adult child. Should a young child bring that up?
I
Are
love
they in
that
order?
point. They are in order in the way they do it, because they may just say, "Mommy, this is new," or "Daddy, this is new. This is scary," or they see
So don't wait on
something.
them. Don't wait on them. You go and,
Go and have
right.
for small children, you do that.
Yeah,
Actually,
but-
anybody, but when you have small children,
Right.
dependent children,
You need
want
to have a conversation.
engage early.
Don't say a big people business alone.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
right,
yeah,
it's big
yeah,
people
yeah.
business.
But it's gonna change their life.
It's
gonna alter
respectful
their life.
to go and talk to them about
Yes,
this.
yes.
So that's the first thing you do. Just listen. Don't push them off.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say your talk trippiness. Talk respectfully and be open to what they're saying. You don't have to accept it, and be willing to explore, but also be willing to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
What about the parent in that situation now, or the friend? What should they do?
When they
We think
go
you
ahead.
should also listen.
Yes.
After you have shared what you have shared, you must be open to mommy or daddy if you're listening to us. Maybe you're not at that level yet, or friend, or child, or parent who may be seeking another, love interest. Listen to your loved one, listen to the person you're questioning,
And
you know,
again,
and be
go ahead, sorry.
open. And be open.
And you may not be listening to get an opinion in terms of to make a decision, but you may be just
Or
listening
even to counter the argument.
But I want to see where you stand, what you feel about this. Because at the end of the day, I want us to have a coexisting relationship that's healthy and enjoyable. The next thing you do is, if you can, once you're deciding to pursue this relationship, try to take deliberate action to have time where the persons can come together in safe, non-explosive ways and periods of time. So you don't want to make it extended, they can't stand each other, like really can't stand each other. Just so they can get to become more comfortable with the person around. So, and I have this, you know,
it's a cruise. Is a cruise up here?
I wouldn't. Well, it can work in two ways, because like I could be having my own fun on deck 1, and you could be in deck 2. I don't care.
Or deck 9.
And we just meet for dinner for like 30 minutes and get out the dining hall. But and it could also sell up a whole cruise that I pay a lot of money for. But you have to know. But the new trend is, it's my life. I do what I want. You are correct. It is your life. You do what you want. But then what you do affect others around you. And so we're not saying to depend on the opinions of everybody to build your life. We're saying listen to wise counsel and make wise decisions. Right?
So take deliberate action. You know, this is a dying art, or really allowing people we are quoting to gel into our system.
Family system.
Family system. It's a new system, right? And the new trend is my life, as Billy said.
Yeah.
But maybe you need to make some deliberate action.
Let them connect.
Maybe it might be even at the beach.
Right.
Maybe it's a beach. It's a picnic.
And if I would say, if they say, well, I don't need to talk to them, red flag. There's somebody on Facebook there was just a ton of red flag. I'm like, what is all this red flag about? So if it's like, I want us to come together. We don't have to be long. We could just have coffee, or we could just go to the beach. I don't need to go there. Red flag. If out of 10 times they say no, listen, there's a whole big red flag. Try burn that. Something might be up there, right?
But red flags are good in that they signal something is not right. So that's an opportunity for something to.
Right, but at least they're making the effort to say, let's try to connect and see if we can build some gelling, some cohesiveness here.
Right, so that's number 2. Number 3, if you decide to continue the relationship, set clear boundaries for interactions with both groups, both sets of persons or both persons. So you set clear boundaries.
So you can't go around bad talking your mother. The boy can't go bad talking your mother because she doesn't like her. No, you can't talk about my mother like that. Right. That's disrespectful. I love you. We're gonna have this relationship, but that's my mother. You can't do that.
Be careful.
Or the same vice versa. Mommy, you can't talk about my girlfriend like that. That's my wife. Or whatever she is at that point. Right. That's disrespectful. That's the mother of my children. That's gonna be a grandchildren's mother. Please don't do it. I know you don't like her. She may not be able to cook like you. She may not look like you. She may, whatever. But don't disrespect her. Right. If you want to do it, don't let me hear it. There has to be clear boundaries.
I'm not even sure about not hearing it. But she might say it in the presence of the grandchildren.
No, but then that's a boundary again you will set. You will say, once my children are here, you do not
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Not in your presence, but
yes.
She could do it in other person's presence, and that could be as damaging.
But the reason I said like that, because you can't control what they're going to do when you're not around.
That's true. But so you could ask.
You're going to set the boundary and you say, well, mommy or daddy or a friend or sister or brother, this is the boundary, and so please, we are not going to allow the relationship to be damaged, but allow me to build this relationship here, please. It's so important. You have 2 minutes.
It might be necessary to get some counseling, or get a third-party perspective.
A healthy third party.
A healthy third party, so you have to be mindful of that. And so that person might be able to bring some insight that otherwise, new perspectives that otherwise would not have been had because, there's tension, So that's one of the things that you need to do. Let me add. Protect your spouse. If you're married, love your spouse. Let them know that they're the most important person in the relationship. I know we love our parents, but your parents is your parent. You have left. There's There's a
What's
the past tense of cleave? You have cleft?
I don't know.
I hope my teacher there, Miss Henry, English teacher, is not listening. But
Just
anyway,
say you leave
the past
and cleave.
Right. You have
left.
done all of that.
Yeah.
That person is the most important person in your life right now, other than God. And so treat them like that. Defend them. Even with the funny skit that we were showing, funny serious skit, I think the guy really tried.
Yeah, he did.
To protect her. Although,
but then his mother was powerful too, so he was like,
so
Mommy,
and he was intimidated. He tried his best. Could have been a little firmer.
That's actually a point that they make, be firm with whatever boundary you say, Mommy, this is it.
Be firm and loving.
Be with your partner, this is it.
Right.
This is where we're not going to cross the line.
And then the other person who is not loved, and this is for friends too. The other person who is not loved, try your best. Who feel it not being accepted, try your best not to lash out. Try your best not to be disrespectful. Try your best not to, I know it. I can imagine it will be hard.
Yeah, because that's rejection. And that is why we're saying.
But don't give them opportunity to say, you see, look at him, look how you talk, look how you talk.
Yeah.
Look how you,
Because if that's the issue, rejection hurts, and rejection brings a lot of complex emotions. And so if you are at that place of being rejected, when you expected to be, what is I tell my story, expected to be embraced so wonderfully, that hurts. And so it's important that you help. That's why we say get help if you can't, get counseling, get therapy to help you work through those emotions and use those emotions in a good way. So you can move from anger and antagonism and holistic, hostile feelings to, more compromising and respectful and just, I understand, I accept. Because you want to make sure at the end of the day, like we said earlier, that you could build, a healthy, happy relationship without having to destroy your family of origin or your friends that help to bring you where you are now. Friends are important. You don't need, I keep saying this, you don't need an entourage. You don't need 99 people behind. You don't need a fan club, but you need 2 people in your corner. How much you need? Like 4. 2. I need 2. But you need to have good friends who could tell you the truth and it's good. Be there for you, support you. And when they say to you, I don't like this. Or,
even when it's hard.
You can trust that it's coming from a good place. Right. And so you want to be able to maintain those relationships, maintain your familial relationships, even while you try to build your marriage and your romantic relationships.
Yes. So we hope we help tonight.
Yeah.
This is tough.
It's over. We're done.
Yeah, this is tough. Yeah. But if you listen to some of the things we said, we don't know everything. But if you listen to what we said you could do.
And read the comments of others who have shared live.
I think it will be helpful. Thank you. If you have the opportunity, can you share this live?
Yes.
When you share it, somebody else might see it. And we thank God for the persons who have come and, listened to us a whole hour. Yes. God bless you. And we pray that your relationships are flourishing, that they are peaceful, and even when there is storms, that you can experience peace, and that you
can jump in the muddy puddles and therefore somehow you have to work the storm, Don't let it blow you off. Work it. God bless you. Yes. And may you have a wonderful night. Please continue to be safe. If you have the vaccine available and you have done your research, please take the vaccine. We need to get out of this, and unless people take it, we're not going to get out. So, God bless you, and please have a wonderful, wonderful night. We love you too, guys.